Everyone wants to know how to deal with feelings. The short answer? Lean into them. Let me explain how this works. There are a couple of things we need to remember. In the last video, we talked about how the brain can't distinguish between what we imagine and what's actually happening. This is why when we think someone's judging us, we react as if they actually are, as if it's already happened. The other thing to remember is, as we talked about, feelings are balls of energy. And so if we don't allow that energy to pass, to ride that wave all the way to the end, because we're suddenly blocking those feelings, then that energy gets physically stuck inside of us. And that's why we could talk about something years after it's happened and get mad as if it's happening again. And sometimes those things will come out of the blue, or seemingly out of the blue, because they get activated whenever anything similar gets activated. The most common feelings we avoid are feelings like anger, grief, or guilt. We tend to defend most against the negative feelings with the people who we care about the most. Think of it as positive and negative feelings tracking together in a closed space. Now imagine a couple who are super affectionate. They're very much in love. We don't want to be mad at our partner, so when the partner does something that annoys us, then we stuff it. I can't be mad at him. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Those are things we tell ourselves, and we stuff the feeling. And then that happens again, and again, and again. And do you notice how as that's happening, every time we stuff it, it starts to encroach on those positive feelings as those negative feelings build. And eventually, they start to come out in passive-aggressive ways. So we'll become emotionally distant, we'll start being snippy with each other, or we'll start forgetting to do the things they're asking us to do, like put up a new bookshelf or pick up milk on the way home. Then most of us don't want to be mean to our partners, and so we try to protect them by switching off those negative emotions. But do you notice how when the positive and negative emotions are in that enclosed space, we can't actually just switch off the negative ones. We also switch off the positive. When that happens, then we can still list all of the great things about our partner, but we don't connect to it. It's almost like they don't count the way they used to count before. And on the few occasions where we do open ourselves up to those positive experiences, then we only get to sit with them for a few minutes or a short time before all of those negative feelings that are dying to come out start to surface, and we shut down again. A really clear example of this is with a couple that I worked with who had had a lot of marital difficulties. And over time, they did a lot of work, they had a great marriage, it was very strong. And one Valentine's Day, he did something really sweet, very considerate. She was very appreciative and grateful for about 5 minutes. And then she turned into a fire-breathing dragon, and neither of them knew what hit them. What had happened was she realized that there was another pocket of grief and frustration there, because if he was capable of such sweet, wonderful things now, then where was that for the previous 7 years? And this is a common scenario, that those negative feelings want to come out. They want to be passed so we can get on with things. But because we don't want to experience that first little bit of distress, then we block them. Sometimes we need to accept and fully face the reality of our experience and all of the feelings that come with that. And that might mean that we need to allow ourselves to be angry or to be sad or to feel remorse for choices that we made that were not in line with our values, if that's how we get to move forward. This really is the only way that I know of to make sure that that energy from feelings doesn't get physically stuck inside of us. When we don't acknowledge our emotions and we get stuck needing to keep them at bay all the time, that puts our body in a state of fight or flight. And when we're in that state, then our body is directing resources towards getting away from a lion and not from the maintenance and healing systems that we have, like the immune system. So in the long term, this means that when we chronically suppress our emotions or avoid them, then we end up being predisposed to heart disease, stroke, blood sugar issues, high blood pressure, pain disorders, cancer, autoimmune diseases, things like headaches, migraines, stomach issues. So what can you do if you recognize that you're stuck in a state of defenses or anxiety? Well, leaning into those feelings is a good start, and it sounds easier than it is. Any form of emotion-focused therapy will be helpful. The most effective one that I know of is intensive short-term dynamic psychotherapy. but it's not for everybody. So if this therapy is not a good fit for you, then you can try some other things. Things like mindfulness. It's really hard to run away from our emotions if we're putting all of our focus on being present. Even acceptance and commitment therapy is a great alternative. To learn more about emotions, check out our blog or some of the other videos. To learn more about different therapies, you can go to the approaches section of the website for more information. Take care.